and Blademaster picked our factions randomly, and we both picked yellow factions, or randomly was assigned to yellow factions. I picked Royal Scythia, which I fucking hate, and he picked Lusitani, which he fucking loves, except against a Nomad faction. The map is the pyramids, so it's not the worst map for a Nomad faction. It's pretty nice and open, mostly flat, but there are some forests and they are going to pose some major problems for me. Now I kind of have to wonder if Blademaster actually picked his faction at random, seeing as how he loves the Lusitani. So maybe there were some shenanigans going on there. And as you can see, he went with a lot of spears, which you kind of have to do against the Nomads. So first, Blademaster's build, he has a fuck ton of spears of different qualities. So he mostly picked the spears that have decent shields and armor, so the Skitari, the Lusitani spears, and I believe he also had some of these gorilla spears somewhere. Maybe he deployed them in ninja mode, because I can't see them here. Iberian swords, very decent against Nomads because they can throw their javelins. And 3 of these Balearic slingers, 4 Skitari cavalry. Maybe he picked the Skitari cavalry just to be nice, because to be fair, an all infantry spam might be more capable against the Nomad faction. So this is the first time I'm using Royal Scythia in multiplayer, so I figured I'd try these Amazonian riders. Now, in retrospect, this probably wasn't the best choice I could have made, because, well, we'll see a bit later, but I'm moving up towards the forest, trying to get some shots off before he can go over here and camp. These women have 150 range, so they'll be able to get some shots off, but nothing really effective. And as you can see, I'm moving my Amazonian riders all together, and that is of course a mistake. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I can't be bothered microing them one by one. I just don't like playing that way, to be honest. It would be more effective because, as you can see, my build is 6 Scythian Amazonian riders, 4 of these Scythian Royal Horse, and 6 Steppe Noble Lancers. So I'm going to have to be able to do a lot of damage with my Scythian Amazonian riders, especially against these Balearics before I move in, because they're going to be able to keep me at a fair distance, or I'm going to have to risk taking a lot of casualties. So the Balearic slingers are getting some cover here. They have shields, so they'll be able to deflect at least some of the missiles incoming. And as you can see, there are missiles, but the Balearics aren't really dying yet, not quickly enough anyway. So I'm going to try to use Cantabrian Circle, and that's going to increase their shots per minute slightly. And it's going to make them take less casualties as well, but because they're going to be harder to hit. But still, I'm going to take a fair amount of casualties on my Amazonian riders here. It would probably have been a better idea to go with the Scythian noble women, because they have more health, more morale, and more armor. So the Balearic slingers are going down somewhat, but I'm going to have to pull my Cantabrian circles away here, because as you can see, I'm taking a lot of casualties on these women. Now, I make no excuses about the way I'm playing here, but bunching the archers up like this is of course a huge mistake. A much more effective way to use them, since my opponent has 3 skirmishers, I would have been able to split my archers into 6 and then shoot and withdraw with each of them, so it would be more difficult to focus fire. And then I could have been chipping away at the edge of these Lusitani spearmen, for example, while only some of them were engaged. And the ones that were engaged, I could have pulled them out and back in and out and back in. But I just can't be bothered with doing it, since I hate that playstyle and I hate playing with the Nomads. So I'm only playing with the Nomads here because I got them in the random faction pick. But still, I learned some things from this battle. So Blademaster is putting his Lusitani spearmen in loose formation and very wide, which is going to minimize the amount of missile fire they're going to take, because it's more of the missiles are going to miss. And also having his skirmishers here in the woods is pretty smart, because they're going to take less casualties. So loose formation and a wide line is the way to deal with missiles incoming. Now, the loose formation and the wide lines, that's potentially a problem when you have heavy shock cavalry charging in, because your men won't be able to brace effectively and they'll be run down. But still, I think he has more than enough spears, and if he just keeps to the woods here, it's going to hamper the effectiveness of any charges that I do. So I'm just riding in and pulling out. These Balearic Slingers are firing, and I'm not able to completely pull out of range here, but I'm able to somewhat reduce the effectiveness of the missiles. But I'm pulling into range a bit too quickly, and I have my Amazonian riders all bunched up, so they're going to take quite a few casualties there. And as you can see, his Balearic Slingers are getting some kills. My Scythian Amazonian riders are getting the worst of the engagement. So I'm going to run these gals around, try to get some shots off on the rear of these Lusitani spears, and that is very effective here. They are taking a lot of casualties from this fire. So now if I had posted, like I talked about earlier, if I had posted my gals around here in and split them up, it would be easier for me to kill more of these spears than these Balearic Slingers. But that's the thing, when I use a faction I don't particularly like, I play worse than if I play a faction that I like. So I'm not really too invested in how this battle goes. But Blademaster is doing the right thing here. He's using terrain to his advantage. He is protecting himself from all sides, both with cavalry and spears. So it's going to be very difficult for me to break into this. It's not really a box, it's just a defensive formation that has some defensive units on the flanks, defensive units in the front, and defensive units in the back. I'm just pulling my Scythian Amazonian riders, pulling them in and out. They're taking a shitload of casualties because they got too close to these, I believe it was both gorillas and Iberian swords, perhaps? Yeah, these Iberian swords took out a lot of my female archers there. And now I believe I have them on heavy shot to take care of this Scutari cavalry. Sending in these guys against the Scutari cavalry, getting a nice flank charge, but they are able to stop the charge a bit here. His Iberian swords are at fire at will, and this is a good idea here because it's going to make it harder for me to make it into them, but I am going to make it into them, smash through the Scutari cavalry, and the Scutari cavalry gets wrecked on the charge by these noble lancers. These guys as well, but the problem is that there are so many missiles incoming here that I'm going to lose these steppe noble lancers before they're able to really do a lot of damage. So not a very good engagement here, but the reason why I sent these guys in was because I was getting impatient. I hate this playstyle, and I think it's boring as shit. Here I am mismicroing my Amazonian riders, letting them get too close to these Lusitani spears, which is going to enable them to throw some javelins. So I managed to pull some of these units out of formation, which is going to allow me to charge them more effectively. But this might have been deliberate on Blademaster's part, because it's going to allow his Iberian swords to do a lot of damage to my cavalry units. I'm just keeping these guys away for the time being. Maybe I should have committed them from the front and tried to break through to the Balearic Slingers, but there are many missile units that I'm quite worried about, and these units with counter-cavalry tactics on, they can shred cavalry units in close to seconds. Following up this Lusitani spearmen, doing quite a lot of damage to them, shooting at them from the rear. But still, this is not looking too good for the Scythians. Getting a nice flank charge here, but the unit is severely depleted. This unit is supporting this fight over here and getting quite a few kills. These are all high value kills from a very cheap unit. The Iberian swords are getting wrecked, but here come the missiles. And although these missiles are going to do some friendly fire, they're going to absolutely wreck the last of my lancers, and that's going to enable these guys to continue to support this fight over here. But this fight is over, but I believe they will get some more missiles off if he runs them in. Scutari cavalry coming in just to hold my guys for a bit longer, get a few kills there. And my noble women are pretty close to being a non-factor in the game because they are so depleted, and I haven't really been able to do much about them because I just used them flat out wrong. I'm using them in two groups. First I used them in one group, now I'm using them in two groups instead of just posting one of them on each side and with some noble lancers for support. So you can see that the way I'm using both my Scythian Royal Horse and my Lancers is absolutely horrible here. I'm not engaging with enough units, and I'm not supporting the Lancers in melee. So, if you're playing again with the Nomads and just posting your guys in three groups like I'm doing here, it's going to make it a lot easier for your opponent to defend from several angles. So some people really enjoy the Nomad playstyle. I know Reptilicus really likes to play as the Scythian Royal Horse, and he does fairly well with them. but I don't like them at all. I find them one-dimensional and boring because it kind of forces your opponent into a defensive position like this, and then it's just basically a war of attrition where it's about trying to take care of his cavalry, trying to take care of his skirmishers, and then dealing with his cavalry, and I don't think that's a very fun playstyle. These units are going down, but they have done quite well for themselves, getting a whole lot of kills. Cheap units getting a lot of kills against my high value units. So while they are broken now, that wasn't a good engagement for me at all. So momentarily the balance of power has shifted a bit. At the beginning of the battle it was pretty atrocious in Blademaster's favor. But still, these Amazonian riders have been able to do fairly well for themselves, these as well, but it's not going to be enough, and they have lost a lot of women. And these Amazonian riders, they haven't really participated much in the battle yet. Now he has quite a few spear units left. I believe he has 6 spear units and a noble fighter unit, so very strong melee units left. These Iberian swords are going to be a threat just because they can throw so many javelins. And of course the Balearic slingers are making it so that I have to kind of stay on the outside and take a lot of fire while moving in. So now I am just reorienting my troops for a bit. I'll fast forward until something happens. Blademaster moves back into the forest, and maybe he had an extra, yeah, he has 7 spear units left, so this is going to be very, very difficult indeed. He's running his guys to meet mine. I'm running my guys away for a bit, and moving up the Balearics, moving them back, and this is just kind of the back and forth of facing Nomad factions. Find it boring as shit, to be honest. Firing at the Lusitani guerrillas because they have crap armor, doing some damage to them, but it's not nearly enough, and these gals are coming under the fire of the Balearic slingers, and that's going to kill them off very quickly indeed. So this is going to be one of those battles where I, by playing like a total retard, show you how not to play as the Nomads. Now granted, it is difficult to use the Nomads effectively against the Lusitani when they're able to go into defensive position in the forest and they have a lot of spears. You are going to be at a disadvantage unless you can take care of the skirmishers early, and against decent players that's going to be very hard to do. Lusitani spears are going to be able to take care of these guys. I was trying to get at the Balearic slingers, but what I'm doing now is just a few desperate moves trying to take care of these skirmishers. You can see them here getting a whole lot of kills, and my Scythian Royal Horse hasn't really done much yet. It's exhausted from running around. These gals are also exhausted, and all of my Lancer units are dead. So this is not looking too good for me at the moment. He still has his Lusitani Noble General, hasn't really taken a lot of damage. One of the problems with using the Nomads like I'm using them now, just running them around with no goal or purpose, is that they will be exhausted, and if I rest, I run the risk of being charged after with these Balearic slingers. So stamina is definitely going to be a problem. Here I'm just going to send in my general, my exhausted general, against his Balearic slingers, and taking a whole lot of fire. The charge is stopped by the Lusitani spears, so I have to pull out, and these guys are just getting absolutely wrecked. Look at this. They got some kills on that charge, but not nearly enough. Here the Scythian Royal Horse is going to get some kills on the charge, getting into these Balearic slingers, but they're going to have to move through these Scutari spearmen. They are getting caught by Scutari spearmen here, and this unit, just look at this unit go. This is a 1200 denarii unit, and it's just getting absolutely wrecked by these spears. So getting into his skirmishers here, but these Scythian Royal Horse are absolutely dead. Now I'm just sending in my Amazonians and sending in the rest of the units, trying to take care of these Balearics, but it's too late for Scythia at this point. The skirmishers weren't able to be effective. They were neutralized by the Balearic slingers and the terrain, and also by me bunching them up and not using them spread out enough to do the damage that I needed to do in order to take out his units. So instead of running like a bitch, I'm just going to send in my guys here, run them out, and to build up enough momentum to get a good charge going, and then I'm just going to send them back in. So at this point, this is GG. A bit unfortunate, I think, that I got a Nomad faction, because while they can work in the hands of a good player against the Lusitani, I don't have the Nomad playstyle down. I don't play with them a lot, and although I kind of understand how they need to work from having faced them quite a lot in the hands of good players, I just don't have the kind of the motivation to use them that way and to play that way. So not to take anything away from Blademaster though, he played a good game here. He did what he needed to do to hold off these both the skirmishers and to support his the rest of his army with these very, very deadly spears. And yep, that's about it. Game is over. GG, well played to Blademaster. And hopefully when we meet again I won't get Nomad faction, because I fucking hate them. But still, although I didn't use the Amazonian riders to good effect in this battle, they still managed to do decently. 100 kills on these gals, and if I had been able to bring the level of these Scythian Amazonian riders to get the others to be as cost effective, and if I hadn't wasted my step noble lancers, I think this could have gone a bit differently. I'm not saying that I could have won, but at least I could have done a bit better. And also, bringing the Scythian Royal Horse, probably a mistake. I should have gone for the Scythian noble women instead, because of the armor and the morale, and just went for maybe 6 Scythian Amazonian riders. They can do better than these gals can in melee afterwards, and just maybe the Scythian Royal Horse general, and then spend some more money on just the step armored lancers, perhaps, or the step lancers. So cavalry didn't really do much, but they were effective speed bumps against my cavalry. The Balearics, their kills are kind of deceptively low here, because the thing to remember is that the kills on these the kills on these units that are smaller are always going to be lower when you're facing a Nomad faction. So 106 kills is actually killing 1.5 unit of these Scythian Amazonian riders, so that's pretty good. And these guys killed off an entire unit as well. The Iberian swords getting 52 kills is absolutely fantastic, because that means that they killed an entire cavalry unit all by themselves. And the spears got a decent amount of kills on each of them. Killed almost 1200, while Blademaster killed 778, but that is of course because the difference in army size was so big. So just going for a build that I think would be slightly more effective in this case. Now keep in mind that I don't have a lot of experience with Royal Scythia, but let's say just bringing 6 Scythian noble women, they have more armor, not a whole lot, but they have a bit more armor. They have their charge bonus is better. The Scythian Amazonian riders have a charge bonus of 4 and a melee defense of 2, so these gals are going to die to anything, and a melee attack of 7. These gals have a melee attack of 30, weapon damage of 34, a charge bonus of 15, but still only melee defense of 3, so they will die quite quickly, just not as quickly as the Scythian Amazonian riders. Now, I would also still have 6 step noble lancers, because these are very good shock cavalry. They are very heavy shock cavalry, able to break through a lot of things. They have a very good charge bonus. Their armor is decent, not very good, but their melee defense is okay for being shock cavalry in their price range. And I think it would have been a better idea to just maybe actually bring 1 Amazonian rider here, or maybe just bring 5 of these step armored lancers, 6 of these step noble lancers, just the 1 Scythian Royal Horse general for a bit of tankiness, and then put the upgrades on these gals here, because putting the upgrades is going to increase their rate of fire by 1 shot per minute, increase their morale a bit as well. So I think against the Lusitani this army would probably have been a bit better, and it would have been a lot better if I'd spread out my Scythian noblewomen into thin lines and attacked from all sides, so I always could fire with at least 3 of them, because there were only 3 skirmishers on the enemy side. But GG, well played to Blademaster with the Lusitani, and I'll see you again on the battlefield.